Solving radical equations. To solve a radical equation, isolate the radical on one side of the equation. Use the index to determine the power to use to eliminate the radical. Raise both sides of the equation to that power. Solve the resulting equation. Check to see if solution is extraneous. Here's an example. Step 1. Isolate the radical on one side of the equation. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is add 8 to both sides, and then divide both sides by 4, and so we get the radical alone on the left side. Step 2. Use the index to determine the power to use to eliminate the radical. So because it's the third root, the power is going to be 3. Step 3. Raise both sides of the equation to that power. So we're going to raise both sides of the equation to the third power. And we get this as a result. Step 4, solve the resulting equation. So now we have 3x minus 1 equals 1. So we'll add 1 to both sides and then divide both sides by 3. We get x equals 2 over 3. Step 5, check to see if the solution is extraneous. So we're going to take that answer and plug it into our original equation and make sure that what we get at the end makes sense. Negative 4 equals negative 4, so this solution works. Here's an example. Alright, so here we have the radical isolated already, so we don't have to do any work to make that happen. All we have to do is square both sides, since this is the second root here. That gives us 4x minus 3 equals 64, 4x equals 67, x equals 67 divided by 4. On the next slide, we'll plug this in and see if it works. Alright, so we plug in 67 over 4, and those cancel, gives us 67 minus 3, which is the square root of 64, equals 8. That is true. Here's another example. Alright, so x plus 1 raised to the 1/2 power means that this is the square root of x plus 1. So we're going to raise both sides to the second power to undo this square root. So those cancel, leaving us with x plus 1, and then we have 9 squared, which is 81. Therefore, x equals 80. So all we have to do then is go back to our original equation and plug in 80. So we have plus 1 equals 9. So the square root of 81 equals 9. 9 equals 9. There we go. It's true. And there is our answer. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is isolate the radical. So we have to get rid of this negative 4. So let's add 4 to both sides, and that gives us 2x plus 3 to the 1/3 power equals 4. Now this is the third root, so we need to raise each side to the power of 3. That gives us 2x plus 3 equals 64, 2x equals 61, x equals 30.5. Now we're going to plug that back in up here, so we have 2 times 30.5 plus 3 to the 1/3 power minus 4 equals 0. So we can just immediately multiply this out. So that's 61 plus 3 to the 1/3 power equals 4. And so that's the third root of 64 equals 4. And that is true. The third root of 64 is 4. 4 equals 4. And there we go.